Welcome to this Amazon QuickSuite demonstration. Today, I'm showing you how to efficiently create complex formatted documents by pulling information from multiple sources, a challenge many organizations face whether you are writing grant applications, requests for proposal responses, or compliance reports. Our example is an advanced planning document or APD, a formal funding request that state Medicaid agencies submit to CMS for major IT projects. These documents are notoriously challenging. They are hundreds of pages long, require information from dozens of sources, must follow strict formatting requirements, and typically take teams weeks or months to complete. The core challenge? Information lives everywhere. Past projects, vendor proposals, budgets, technical specs, and you need to find it, synthesize it, and format it correctly. QuickSuite solves this by letting you search across all your documents simultaneously, perform intelligent analysis, and populate template sections with contextually appropriate content. Let's see how it works. In this demonstration, we will see how Amazon QuickSuite helps advanced planning document authors to do their day-to-day activities. So first we have the spaces location within Amazon QuickSuite, where I've created a document repository and uploaded all the APD templates that the APD authors use to create their documentation for CMS submission. Now I've uploaded these as 9 different files. I can as well, if there is additional documentation, I can always create a knowledge base. And I have so many out of the box connectors available through which I'll be able to index existing data in the existing document repository, like for example, a SharePoint location or a Microsoft OneDrive location or a Google Drive location. We'll be able to connect to those external document repositories and index the documents as well. Now in this demonstration, I've used the templates that CMS provides for the APD documents and uploaded them as files. Next, I've created a chat agent and I've given a persona for the chat agent that it will analyze our APD documents and provide answers to questions based on the content within our document repository. And this will be our APD document expert and will be able to guide us through the APD authoring process. So I can go ahead and start chatting with the agent. I can ask questions like, what are the key requirements outlined in the APD documents? Now this assistant will look through the templates, the 9 files that we uploaded. We'll be able to identify the file that is going to talk about the requirements in the APD document and then provide us with a response on what are the key requirements outlined in the APD document itself. So again, in this case, it comes back to say that these are the key requirements in the APD document itself, and it's able to identify that things like executive summary, project management plan, summary of activities, all of these are part of the template that it's able to identify from our unstructured document and provide us as the response. And it also provides us the source, the MES APD template that has this information. Now, I'm going to go ahead and ask the agent to perform some more action for me. In this case, I'm going to provide an existing IAPD document and ask the agent to identify the differences between the existing IAPD and the template that we have from CMS. So in this case, I downloaded a publicly available APD template or APD document, IAPD document for Florida. And I'm going to add that to the chat. And I'm asking the question, can you help identify sections or content that's missing in the attachment compared to the APD template. So in this case, the agent has to understand what is in the Florida's IAPD document and then identify the structure of the APD template, do a differential analysis to identify what are the differences between the two documents, and then craft a response and provide that as an answer to the question. Now, this is something that the APD authors will be able to do as part of their day-to-day activity when CMS, say, for example, releases a new template and they have existing documents that are going through the authoring process, and now they have to change the template on that. They'll be able to work with the agent like this to identify what are the sections they have to focus on to put that content into the new template. So in this case, the agent has now digested the information from the Florida's IAPD PDF and has looked into the APD template and is identifying certain missing or incomplete sections in the document. Like, for example, let's pick on the analysis of alternatives. So let's say we are the APD author. We looked at the existing IAPD document. There is a new APD template CMS released, and we identified that analysis of alternatives needs to be a lot more comprehensive in the new template compared to what it was before. Now, as an APD author, I can plan to start researching on the alternative analysis. And for this, there is an Amazon Quick Research agent available within QuickSuite that I can use to perform the research itself. So I'll go ahead and perform this research using the Quick Research agent, and we will see what happens with that experience next. So as part of the research objective, I'm basically going to say that it was identified that alternative analysis is missing in my APD. I need to do research to author the alternative analysis in the APD. And then I go ahead and upload my APD document. And I ask the research agent to create a plan. So in this case, the research agent is going to digest Florida's IAPD document, look at my objective, which is to perform alternative analysis. So as part of alternative analysis, the research agent has to look at what are other options that are available and why did we choose what we chose as part of the APD's content. So if we look at some topics to explore, this is the research plan itself, right? It's saying we will look at overview of the approach and then description of alternatives considered. It will look at some evaluation criteria, cost benefit analysis, risk assessment, so on and so forth. Now, as part of the research plan, it's also suggesting some improvements, like include specific quantitative metrics used to compare alternatives, incorporate feedback from stakeholders that influence the final decision, explain how the selected approach aligns with Florida's specific Medicaid program needs. So I like all these three options. And I also wanted to include other state examples where applicable. So this way we will cite what is done in other states as well as part of this plan. And I have the web search enabled here so that it can look at the internet. Now, as part of the revised plan, it will take into account all our feedback and redo the plan to include our suggestions here. Let's see what it comes back with. Okay, so let's look at this research plan. It's giving us good plan structure. It's also doing some state comparison analysis, which was directly from the feedback that we gave. It also further provides more feedback on what other things we can add to this research, right? So once everything looks good, we can go ahead and start researching on this. Now, the actual research itself will take anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes to complete as it crunches the data and performs the analysis. But what I will show as this is progressing is an existing one that I had completed earlier. And this is what the output will look like when the research completes. It will come back and respond to each of the sections that it identified as part of the research plan and go, and it will end up citing all the data that it has as content in here, right? So in this case, it looked through 30 different sources to arrive at this research. And apart from citation, it also makes conclusions on certain statements, and it allows us to identify where their conclusion came from. Like, for example, this understand the statement explains evidence one that we got from this PDF file, combining that with evidence two, and then evidence three and evidence four, it landed on this statement. The risk assessment demonstrates that modular incremental cutover provides the lowest overall risk profile across all categories. So it's interesting. Now in here, it's important to note that all those four evidences were from the same PDF. So if we want additional research done on this, we can simply add a comment here to say, hey, can you perform more research on this to provide other supporting evidence for the statement? And then when we revise the plan, this comment will be taken into consideration. Once you're comfortable with the research, you can go ahead and download the research document as the Word or PDF and use it as part of your IAPD for your CMS submission, right? Now let's go on the journey of the submission itself. So let's think through this, that the submission was done and now CMS has come back with some feedback. And let's look at the feedback. CMS has come back with some review questions. They're asking about certain budget and financial questions, project scope, deliverables, implementation timeline. And now you need to create a plan to address these questions. So for this, Amazon QuickSuite has Amazon Quick Flows available that can help you in automating day-to-day tasks. So in this case, you can always go back to the chat agent and have a conversation based on the feedback that you get, or you can also create an automation script like this, where you are uploading the CMS's feedback and your existing IAPD, and you're analyzing the feedback and asking QuickSuite to provide some suggested actions through which you can address those questions that CMS has. So in this case, this automation is going to analyze the CMS's feedback, and then it's going to analyze the current APD. It will group the feedback into themes and then generate suggested actions. So we can see that the generate suggested actions is now getting generated at this point. And it's in a table format, and all of this can be influenced when we set up the flow itself. But it's putting the questions into a theme category, identifying the specific feedback item from what CMS provided, picking up the APD sections that are affected by it, assigning a severity to the feedback itself, and then providing suggested actions. Like, for example, for this budget related questions, it sort of asks to complete and submit missing detailed budget table, finalize cost allocation methodology with specific Medicaid, non-Medicaid percentages. Now, again, you can continue this conversation here by working with the chat agent to refine this action plan, or you can start working on this action plan by copy pasting this into your CSV or Word document and going through them with your team. So today in this demonstration, we first saw how to set up Spaces, a document repository. We saw that it's not only the file uploads, but it can also connect to existing document repositories that your authors are using, like SharePoint or Google Drive or OneDrive. There are several options in there as native connectors. And then we saw the execution of a chat agent where without writing a single line of code, by just providing what personas the chat agent needs to follow, we were able to have a conversation with the chat agent about the APDs. And then we saw the research agent going and performing an in-depth research on alternative analysis. We were able to revise the plan, review the output, and then also like add comments to create a second version of the research. And then we saw that that research can be downloaded into a Word document or PDF. And we also saw once CMS comes back with the feedback using flows, we are able to automate ingesting that feedback, grouping them into themes, and identifying some suggested actions that the